Hi everyone, I'm BanzerMan. Thanks for coming to my channel. I really appreciate that. So this whole COVID-19 coronavirus thing is pretty bananas and got us kind of cooped up. So if you're feeling a little stir crazy, I made a list of 12 things you can do to stay sane during this quarantine. So this list isn't going to be in any type of order or anything. I just kind of made this list of things I just kind of thought of that help me when I'm bored just in regular life. And I feel like they could be particularly helpful in this situation. So the first thing that I listed was learning an instrument. Most people think that instrument's going to be really expensive. You also might feel a little discouraged that you wouldn't be able to play one right off. But I mean, everything takes time. You can actually find instruments really cheap. I actually started playing the ukulele probably about 7-8 years ago when I was at a work one time. I just got bored and a buddy of mine let me borrow one and I picked it up really easy. I actually got a lot of guff for playing the ukulele. A lot of people thought it was too easy. To that I say, if you think it's unfair to play ukulele because it's too easy, next time you're hungry, you don't get to make a sandwich. That's too easy. You have to make ratatouille. Right here on YouTube, there's probably thousands of instructors out there just waiting to teach you how to play, and they simplify it. If you go with the cheap route with instruments, of course you're not going to really get that sound quality that a lot of the more expensive ones have. It's something you could learn on for the time being, and it makes things really easy as you get up, and then you know what to look for. You can try different things and see how that sound is. Number 2 on this list is going to be books, whether it's reading books or listening to books. And this is probably on every other list like this. It might seem a little boring to some people. They think books and they think I don't want to sit down and read, but I mean, what the hell else you got going on right now? I found this book called Dark Maze, which is about this hard-boiled detective. You know, you think like as you're reading it, you get that noir kind of sense to it. That there's a killer going around and he kills people in the scenes of these amazing, beautiful oil paintings. My number 1 is without a doubt H.P. Lovecraft. I love pretty much anything Lovecraft. I wish there were more Lovecraft movies, but they're really hard to do considering that most of his type of horror is horror of the unknown and the unexplainable. Like Color Out of Space is literally just something that they're defining as a color because they can't describe what it is. They actually just made a movie recently with Nicolas Cage that might be a turnoff, but the H.P. Lovecraft Historical Society said that it was really cool. If you've ever heard of Cthulhu, that's where it comes from, is H.P. Lovecraft. He's got tons and tons of short stories. If you enjoy Stephen King, like Stephen King movies, he was actually really inspired by Lovecraft. The Stand, if you've ever heard of The Stand, the book was amazing. Ugh, this is probably a bad time to mention this, but this virus breaks out and it kills most of the world. I mean, I think there's only like 1 or 2% of the population of the entire world left, and it becomes this battle of good and evil. But some people argue that Randall Flagg, the antagonist in The Stand, could be like Nyarlathotep or Hastur, which are from Lovecraftian stories. You know, when people say the book was better than the movie, that's because it's true, except for Bird Box. But some people argue that Bird Box is Lovecraftian. Maybe I just don't want to accept it. Hunter S. Thompson, yes, the movies are great, like The Rum Diary, that's one of my absolute favorite books. And then there's, of course, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. It's actually kind of cool if you've seen the movie first. They did such a good job in the movie. It's almost like you can picture those characters. So, I mean, the dialogue and like the way they talk and these characters, you can actually kind of just make them up in your own mind instead of just reading along and trying to figure out how they would sound or their mannerisms or anything like that. Number 3 on this list, since we're talking about books and things like that, this might be considered the same, but graphic novels. I love graphic novels. You could put comics in there, but I mean, it's tough to find certain comics. You could get a graphic novel that's a compilation of a bunch of comics, a whole series of comics all in one book, and that makes it a lot easier, and it's usually a lot cheaper too, because you might have something in a series that's way more expensive than something else in that series. You can look online all over the place and you'll find a decent amount of graphic novels. I'm actually going to show you some of these. Sin City by Frank Miller is fantastic. Gritty, hard-boiled, doom, rooting for the bad guy even though he's ultra-violent. You've probably seen the movie, and that explains why it has that black and white theme. But Frank Miller is fantastic. Also, like the 300 series about the Battle of Thermopylae and things like that. Fantastic reads. The artwork's amazing. Speaking of amazing artwork, my absolute favorite graphic novel series is The Blackest Night. Mine's actually signed by Tom Wynn, which is kind of funny because I went to Comic-Con. He actually did me an original Batman in there too, which is pretty cool. I happened to walk past him and see him, and he signed it for me, so huge shout out to Tom Wynn. I really appreciate that. He's an amazing illustrator. If you think the Avengers decimated some characters, wait until you see this. The Dark Tower series, now they made a movie that was god-awful. If you can get the books, do that as well. I'm not saying pass this up if you can get the books. It still makes a whole lot of sense. Even if you read these, if you're not much of a reader and you're just more of a visual person, you want to see it, these are fantastic, but I definitely recommend you find the books. I, myself, haven't even read close to all of them. Definitely check them out if you can. I don't know why I'm keeping count because none of these are in order, so it doesn't matter. I did put one at the end just to be kind of cheeky and a little bit inspirational. The fourth thing that I put on this list is exercise. Now I know there's dozens of people out there making YouTube videos about list of things to do during the quarantine and lockdown. And every single one of them probably mentions exercise. But there's a good reason for that. It's because you need it. You need to stay active. It keeps your brain healthy and it keeps your body healthy. Now, I'm not telling you to start pumping iron. I'm not telling you to plank for 3 hours. I'm not telling you you can only eat broccoli, that's the only food I won't eat. I don't eat broccoli. It's disgusting. But I'm not telling you to change your whole lifestyle. All I'm saying is by exercise, I mean be a little bit more active. If there's a store close by to you that you think might be within walking distance, try walking next time instead of driving when you need something. You'll get a lot of vitamin D from the sun. You'll get a change of scenery. You'll get a lot of fresh air. And even if it's raining, go out. Go out in the rain. Just experience something new outside of just sitting in your house. Even if you have to find something to do around your house, rearrange a closet. Maybe you need to make some space somewhere. Clean your microwave, because I know that needs to be done. And next time you microwave something, cover it. Number 5 on this list is something I'm really happy to share with you, and that's tabletop gaming. Tabletop gaming has made a huge boom lately, and a lot of people just kind of stay on the surface. You know, you've got like Cards Against Humanity and things like that. But I'll tell you right now, Dungeons and Dragons never left. I've been playing Dungeons and Dragons for maybe 10 to 12 years, and I'm still in love with it to this day. Hold on, I know you think that's a bunch of nerdy stuff, that's not for me. There are so many types of tabletop games out there. There are card games, there's picture games, there's board games, there's role-playing games, and they make some of the coolest games that you're going to see that I'm going to show you right now. So one of my favorite games to play is Cult. It plays 2 to 5 people, and it's about an hour and a half of play. That's just what they recommend. You could go a lot longer. It is not a cooperative game at all. It gets pretty cutthroat. You're gonna love it. So earlier I mentioned how my favorite author is H.P. Lovecraft. And it just so happens that there are a ton of tabletop games modeled after H.P. Lovecraft's stories. This is called Mansions of Madness. I don't know if you can tell how large this box is, but it's a fantastic game. It does get a little pricey. I think it retails for about $100, but I actually scored mine at Blitzkrieg Games in New Braunfels, Texas, and I actually got like 15 or 20% off. That was pretty cool. Not sponsored. Mansions of Madness is a game that will take you a little while to learn. There is a little bit of a learning curve. That doesn't mean it's hard. It's actually played on an app that you download on your phone for free, and it just kind of guides you through it and tells you what doors to go through or what items to search. You're not so much timed as the game punishes you for taking too long. And that's just kind of how it seems, because portals open, you get more baddies to fight. There's so much to do in this game. Another really fun and interesting game to play is 5 Minute Dungeon. So 5 Minute Dungeon is kind of a match game, so it's pretty easy to play. You can play with younger members of your family or even older members of your family that might not completely grasp a lot of the more difficult type games, because you're literally just matching and trying to beat monsters. I'll put a link down below for you to check that game out, but it's fantastic. It's literally, each round is only 5 minutes. You're timed with an app that you have on your phone. You'll beat that boss, go on to the next one. You have 5 minutes to beat that one, and so on and so forth. But I will warn you that once you get to the final boss, if you don't make it in 5 minutes, you got to start all the way back at the beginning, Jack. They're not farting around here. So number 5 on this list of things I've made is paint. Try painting. You can order online and just order like a basic painting kit, and you'll be surprised what pours out of your mind. I actually started doing it as a hobby a while ago. There are a ton of videos on YouTube with people that are eager to teach you how to paint. And even if you have a little bit of experience, to kind of launch you off in the better direction or reignite what you had done before. Jerry Arnell's a really cool artist that's been around for a good while. I think he sticks to acrylic based paints, which is what I like anyway, because you can do really cool things with it to make it look more like oil paint. LaCree Fine Arts, and she does a lot of kind of paint with me things. You could watch her Q&As and learn a lot by the questions that people are asking her and her answering those questions. She's great if you're just starting out. She's really cool with teaching where to begin, what types of paints you use, and she's not one of those brand specific types of people that thinks, oh, this is cheap, but what she actually means is $200. That's not how she is at all. It's really cool the way she helps people. She wants to help people along with their journey. Another channel that I really like to watch is Chuck Black Art. And if you're starting out, I wouldn't recommend painting along with him because his techniques and things are really advanced, but it's still really cool to watch him because you can see certain strokes that he does because he talks to you the entire process. A lot like Bob Ross or somebody like that, but with better technology so he can get in a lot closer and get in more detail. Plus those sounds are super satisfying of the brush hitting the canvas. The next thing on our list is rearrange your house or maybe just your room or something. When I get stressed out, I feel like things are just monotonous. I'm going to the same job, I'm seeing the same faces, I'm going to the same places, I come home and everything's right in the same order. In a time like this, it might amplify feelings like that because you're seeing it so much more often. You're just sitting around and everything just seems like the same. Every day feels like the same day over and over and over. Try putting things in a different rotation than you normally would, and that way you're getting a completely different perspective. And sometimes getting a different perspective, whether it's in relationships or in your everyday life, can make a huge difference. Maybe it'll give you less space, but maybe you'll like how it feels. Maybe it'll feel a little bit more cozy. Maybe it'll give you more space, and usually you're not that type of person. Maybe you like it to feel a little bit more cozy. But maybe more space is what you need to look at things from a different perspective, and you'd be surprised what you might learn about yourself. Plus, that goes back to the exercise thing because now you're being active without having to do any type of crazy lifting. You might have to if you have that type of furniture, but I wouldn't recommend doing that if you don't think you can handle that kind of weight. So number 8 on this list is flying a kite. Now, I know that sounds a little silly, but I just think there's something really satisfying about flying a kite. And this time of year, you can find them just about anywhere, and you can get them really cheap. I keep a kite in my car because I have a 4-year-old, so sometimes we'll get bored and just put a kite in the air. I bought a kite for like $2 and it actually worked better than like the $15 ones I bought at a big corporate superstore that I'm not going to mention the name of. Some kites get ridiculous and they're beautiful to watch, but you don't have to spend a whole lot of money on a kite. You don't need something like that if you're not a professional kiter or it's not like a huge hobby that you're into. You're just doing it because you're bored, you want to kill some time or do something interesting or active. Flying a kite might be for you. So next on our list is learning a new language. I don't expect you to go out and get fluent, but right now you're just trying to keep yourself occupied and maybe find a new thing to do. Nobody expects you to get fluent in this language. There are tons of videos and apps out there that'll teach you just basic things in a new language. So I actually use this app called Duolingo, which kind of makes it like a little game and you get rewarded for like going on streaks or getting enough successful rounds. And I'm actually learning quite a bit. I'm learning Norwegian right now, which is pretty fun. Number 10 on our list is to reflect. If you're gonna be stuck at home with a lot of free time on your hands, you might start to get down on yourself, which is kind of putting things in reverse for you. So I kind of feel like if you reflect on things that you could have changed or that you can change, that'll help things in the future for when this is all over. Are you really happy with the job that you had and lost? Or are you really happy with the job that you still currently have as an essential worker? These are times that you can actually sit and reflect on things like that. Are you happy with the person you're with in your life right now, in your relationships? Are you happy with the way you've been treating certain people? They say don't dwell on the past, but I feel like right now is a really good time for you to reflect on things in your past and see what you can do to learn and get better for your future. Now, I'm not in any way, shape, or form a motivational speaker. I'm just trying to give you things that will help in the long run when all this is all over. Number 11 is something that I really, really enjoy. It's a game that my buddy taught me that I think he picked up in Hawaii, and it's called Bocce Ball. And if you've never heard of Bocce Ball, it's this game that I believe was created in Italy, because I know a lot of the names for things are Italian, but it's basically shuffleboard with big balls and one tiny ball called a pallina. You throw out the pallina, you huck the other balls out there, closest to it gets more points. You see where this is going. You'll win with more points. And what makes this a really cool outside game is, for one, you're outside, obviously, so you're getting a lot of the sunlight, you're getting a change of scenery. It's something that you can play, and it's a small group. So the social distancing thing comes in. I mean, it's perfect for it because you each have your own item. You each have your own ball. You don't have to share or touch anything. You don't have to get close to each other. It's a fantastic game, and it's really a lot of fun. The final thing on our list, we are finally here, is work on or find a new passion. So maybe there's something that you really, really enjoyed doing a while back and life just kind of crashed into you, so you kind of had to give that up. Maybe right now is a good time to reignite that passion. Or it might be a good time to find a new passion. With some of these things on this list, maybe those are for you. Maybe you start playing a new instrument, or you start learning an instrument and you realize how much you love it. Maybe a buddy has an instrument lying around that you could just borrow. You get really good with it, and maybe you could do something with that. Maybe you start to paint and realize that you are a really good painter. That could lead you to painting portraits. That could lead you to just doing obscure abstract pieces. Maybe that could lead you into interior design, because now you're really good with matching colors and things like that. Maybe when you get more active, it might make you a little bit more healthy, and then you could start doing things that you were really good at before that you love to do but haven't been able to do for a good while. Thanks for stopping by my channel, everybody. That was my list of 12 things to do to keep you sane during quarantine. I really appreciate you stopping by and checking out my new channel. This is my very first video on YouTube. So if you have any recommendations for anything that you might want to see in the future, go ahead and drop it down there in the comments. Let me know. Spit it out there. Like, subscribe. Thanks.